Guys, Christina Marie here, and welcome to my February wrap up. I'm doing another one. I'm so excited. I am trying to be committed about these things. So yes, I am just going to briefly share with you the books that I was able to read in the month of February. I am going to say I have currently, today is February 27th, I have currently completed 12 books, but I'm going to say 13 because I'm in the middle of one right now. Now, 2/3 of the way done, and I will be finished with the last book tomorrow, February 28th. So, yay for that. But let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I read this month was Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. Of course, this is a continuation of the Infernal Devices trilogy. So I went ahead, picked this up on February 1st and started reading, and I was done with it in like 1-2 days. And all the feels. Of course, all of the feels. I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Then, of course, following Clockwork Prince is Clockwork Princess, which is the final book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I'm going to be honest. I liked Clockwork Prince better than I did Clockwork Princess, but Clockwork Princess was good. It was really, 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 really good. I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars, but out of the trilogy, Clockwork Prince is definitely my favorite. Now, some of the books that I'm going to talk about I don't have because they were library books, like the next one. I read The Promise of Amazing by Robin Constantine. I'm going to insert it here. This book was horrible for me. It was probably one of the worst experiences I have ever had. I did not like this book at all. I didn't believe it. I didn't care about the characters. I just was like, ugh, by the end of the book. It was supposed to be, oh, Bailey's drinking. It was supposed to be a really cute, lovey, fluffy story, and I just didn't get that. It was just more pathetic to me, and I just did not like any of the characters at all, so I ended up giving this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars, which is probably the lowest rating that I've ever given a book. Sorry. Then I read these books I'm going to hold up together. The next book I read was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the graphic novel, and the actual novel itself. I read both of these back to back. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. The story is phenomenal, you guys. Oh my word. Like, I cannot wait to read Hollow City. But yes, I read this in a day, and I read this in probably like 2 days. I love this story. It is so creative, so innovative. There are some great quotes in here that I probably want to write down and probably have tattooed somewhere on my body at some point. This series is fantastic. Ransom Riggs is a genius, and I'm really, really bummed because he was here in Kansas City last month or the month before, and I wasn't able to see him because I had rehearsal for church. Which really bums me out, but hopefully I'll get to meet him one day and tell him how amazing these books were. 4 stars, 5 stars, definitely. Then the next 4 books I read are all library books, so I'm just gonna back to back. The first one I read, this is the continuation of the, Everneath trilogy. So I read Everbound, which is the second book, and then I read Ever True, which is the third book. I really liked this series. I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did, but I just really, really enjoyed the series. I wrote reviews all about all 3 books on my blog. That's linked down below. I ended up giving Everbound 5 stars. That's my favorite book out of the trilogy. And then I gave Ever True 4.5 stars. Ever True was so, so good. If the beginning of Ever True would have been a little better, then I probably would have given it a 5 out of 5 stars, and it probably would have ended up being my favorite. But because I didn't really enjoy the beginning of Ever True that much, Everbound kind of won out in that regard. But Cole, let me just tell you, is a very, very amazingly developed character in my opinion, and I talk about him all throughout my reviews of each book. So if you are interested in this series, I highly recommend it. It was so great. I was so involved with it, and I loved it. Definitely. Next series I finished was the Unearthly trilogy by Cynthia Hand. By the way, the Everbound series is by Brody Ashton. Or Everneath series is by Brody Ashton. So moving on to the Unearthly trilogy by Cynthia Hand. I really loved Unearthly, which was the first book, and I read that early or mid 2013. And so I finally got around to finishing the trilogy. My goal for February was to finish 3 trilogies. I finished The Infernal Devices, I finished Everneath, and I finished Unearthly. And I think I finished another one. No, I didn't. But anyway, I didn't enjoy this trilogy, the Unearthly trilogy, as much as I thought I would. Granted, I loved Unearthly. I really, really did, because I loved Tucker. I loved Tucker. Tucker was a sweetie. But then in Hollowed, Tucker, I was okay, you know, with Tucker. And then what was the other guy? Christian. Yeah, like it started to turn into this love triangle thing that I'm not about. I'm just not about love triangles. I can't stand them, especially when they're just done so haphazardly, in my opinion. I just didn't really like it. So I ended up giving Hollowed a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then Boundless did kind of redeem itself, did redeem the trilogy for me. It was really, really good. I loved the story arc throughout the trilogy of angels and fallen angels and blah, 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 and destiny. And, you know, I loved all of that. It was so interesting to me. But then the thing that kind of turned me off was just the romantic aspect of it just wasn't there for me. I don't know. I didn't love the characters together. I would have probably preferred them just be apart. I don't know. It just something didn't stick for me. But Boundless did kind of redeem the trilogy for me, and I ended up giving Boundless a 4 out of 5 stars. Then the final library book I read was Control by Lydia Kang. Loved this book, you guys. Loved it. It was amazing. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Yes, there were a bunch of flaws in the book. There were. But for me personally, everything that I wanted to get out of the book, I got. So 5 out of 5 stars. It was great. I cannot wait for the second book, which is called Catalyst, I think. I was talking to Lydia Kang yesterday. Oh my gosh. I can say that. I tweeted her and we were talking because I said, I have to wait till winter 2015 for your book. What the hell? And she was like, yeah, probably a year from now. I'm sorry, but you know, be excited. I said, oh, I'm excited. It'll be worth the wait, you know. But yeah, I was just talking to her and just telling her like, I have to wait. Like, I need to know what happens. Like, oh my gosh. The book, what are the, Zelia and Delia are the sisters in the book. And I think Zelia is the main character. That's whose eyes we're seeing everything through. I just loved her character. She didn't take your bullshit, you know. She still had her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities and whatnot, and people played on those, definitely. I loved the sciencey sci-fi aspect to it, and I loved the fact that the powers or the things, the features, the special supernatural features that people had weren't magical. They were biological, they were deformities or genetics. It was just so interesting to me, and I just really loved how Lydia Kang just developed these characters and gave them characteristics or traits that, you know, we typically don't see in YA novels. I loved the hollows, whatever they're called. I just loved the camaraderie and the joking, you know, relationships between various characters. I loved the tension, and Lydia Kang really pushed the envelope with a few issues in this book. And I don't want to go into it yet, but if you guys want a review of Control from me, comment down below letting me know that, and I'll be happy to do one because this book was amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, and then the next book I read after Control was Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. Okay, you guys, remember when I told you about Anna and the French Kiss and how I didn't love it? Like, I don't get why people are in love with that book. I may have been generous and gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I loved Etienne, which was the male love interest in that book. Had Etienne been an ass or been someone I didn't care about, I probably would have gave it a 3 stars, which is what I gave Lola and the Boy Next Door. I gave Lola and the Boy Next Door 3 stars because I cared not one bit about this girl. Like, I wanted her to shut the heck up. I wanted her to quit whining, get over herself. And I just did not care about Cricket. I didn't care about Cricket. Cricket was cool, but I just didn't care about him. I have come to realize in reading this book that I am not a fan of Stephanie Perkins. With that being said, I am going to read the final book. What is it? Isla and the Happily Ever After. I will read that final book because I can't not finish a series. But I'm just not a fan of Stephanie Perkins' writing. It doesn't click with me. It does not work. I have finally come to terms with that, and I'm not going to force myself to like Stephanie Perkins. Sorry, guys. 3 out of 5. Next to last book I read is Crown of Midnight, and this is the second book in the Throne of Glass trilogy, or sorry, series by Sarah J Maas. Loved this book. Celaena is a bad ass. I want to be her. Oh my gosh. Like, it was so action packed. I am a Chaol, Chaol, the guy. I am a Chaol shipper. I love him. I want him to have all of the right things and the finer things in life. I want things to go perfectly for him. He's amazing. I love him. I love Dorian. Is that his name? Don't get me wrong, but Dorian is like my little brother. Hey, you're fun. But Chaol is like, oh, take me now. That's who I love. So I love how we see Celaena grow in this series. I love how we see her grow, but I also love how we see her vulnerabilities in that she makes mistakes and she's not perfect. She is a badass and she can kill you just like that, but she makes mistakes. And some of the choices she made in this book, I was like, you know, and some decisions were made and things happened, but it was all written so well and connected so well that, oh, it's just so good. And that ending, the ending where I was like, no, I need the next book. 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. So good. And then the final book that I will have finished by the time this video goes up, Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the first book in the Shatter Me trilogy. I have all 3 books, as you guys may or may not already know, so I wanted to go ahead and get started. I hate this cover because it doesn't match the cover of the other 2. But yes, I'm currently reading this book. I am on page... my bookmark fell out. I don't know what page I'm on. I have to check Goodreads. But yes, I am going to be finished with this book. By the time this video goes up, like I said, I will be finished. So I will put an annotation somewhere in here letting you know the star rating that I gave this book. But yes, by the time this video goes up, today is February 27th. This video will go up early March. I will have finished this. I'm finishing it tomorrow, actually, February 28th. I will put an annotation somewhere letting you know my rating. So, yay! So those are all the books that I read for the month of February. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below with any books you read in February and subscribe to this channel for more. I have already filmed my March TBR video, so that should have already gone up. So I hope you check that out as well, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!